The Panthers moved the statue of former owner Jerry Richardson from the front of their stadium to an undisclosed location. A team spokesperson said the organization was aware of attempts to take down the statue due to Richardson's past allegations of sexual and racial misconduct. So, Shannon, what will his legacy be?
It is, Skip, he will be remembered. He did bring professional sports to a football team, NFL team, to Carolina. He did do that.
To a region.
To a region that really is college heavy. So he did do that.
Yep.
But he's going to be remembered for why he had to sell this team. Jerry Richardson's history on with race issues is undeniable. Skip, co-founded, I think it was Hardee's and Denny's.
Correct.
And in 93, 94, he had to pay over a $54 million settlement for discriminatory practices.
Yep.
He also entered into a settlement with an African-American scout when he addressed him in a racial slur.
He did.
And then the bombshell was this Sports Illustrated article. And through an outside investigation,
It was mostly about sexual harassment.
Right.
Yeah.
Through an outside investigation, they came in and said these claims were substantiated. And he was forced. He had no choice.
No.
The NFL was going to, he did before the NFL was going to ask him to, because they don't want that, Skip. And so Jerry Richardson, this is the last thing on his resume, but it's going to move to the top of his resume, Skip. This is how he's going to be remembered, Skip.
Yeah.
This is, unfortunately, this is it. When Cam Newton came out, he asked Cam, "You have any tattoos?" "No, sir." "You have any body piercing, earrings?" "No, sir." "Good, keep it that way." Huh? Do you believe he would have asked Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, any of those questions? Absolutely not.
And by the way, soon after they drafted Cam #1 overall, he asked him, "You didn't get crazy on draft night and go out and get some tattoos, right, that I need to take a look at?" "No, sir." "No, sir."
But my thing is, Skip, hold on. I don't even know why David Tepper, I think that was the new owner, why he even agreed that the statue had to stay up. Skip, how the hell you going to...
It was part of the deal. Yes.
Skip, how are you going to sell... Okay, oh, man, I love that house. I'm going to buy the house. What do you want for it? Okay, I'll pay that. But I got to leave your picture up in the bedroom. What the hell? What I got to... No.
Or your statue out on the lawn.
Yes. So basically, you got to leave my picture up so everybody can see it. Skip, look, I know what they're saying right now, but they've always wanted to remove this statue knowing what he represented.
Yep.
And this was an opportunity. It's almost very different, though. If you look at Skip, you know, the officer that did what he did to George Floyd, his wife is divorcing him. Well, she always wanted a divorce, but this was an easy way out. They always wanted to take the statue down. Now they got, well, you know, Skip, you know, I think right now we don't want anything to happen to it. They would love something to happen to that statue. It would save them the headache of having to explain. Now, the question is Mr. Richardson, because it's in the contract, Skip, the statue stays. So is there any legal issues that might face Mr. Tepper? I hope not, but Skip, this was the right thing to do. It was absolutely the right thing to do. And Mr. Richardson, his resume, his discriminatory practices, his racial slurs in addressing certain African-American employees, and his behavior, assault, that's on his resume, Skip. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunately, but it's going to outweigh what he did to bring a professional football team to Carolina.
You know, there might have been another way to eliminate the statue. Just leave it outside, right? Because I'm not sure it would have lasted much longer. Am I right?
They take it down, statue, you're absolutely right. You see what they did to Christopher Columbus? They took his head off.
Took the head off. Decapitated it.
And in Britain, they took down the whole, they took a whole statue and threw it in the ocean.
They did. That was in Britain, by the way. So, Shannon, it's shameful to me that there was this statue in the first place. It's given this man's history. This is about as close as you can get to one of the Civil War statues that people are so offended by now.
Right.
It's at least in the ballpark. And I remind everyone, it came into being because the minority owners of the Panthers, when Jerry Richardson turned 80 back in 2016, decided to give him a gigantic statue, an oversized statue of himself. It's 13 feet tall, weighs almost 5,000 pounds. Yeah. And when I say minority owners, I'm not talking about their skin color.
Right.
I'm talking about the shares that they held were fewer than his shares. So they're going to honor the majority shareholder with a statue.
Right.
That's how it came into being. And of course, Mr. Richardson loved that statue probably as much as anything that anybody ever gave him. And he loved it so much, he wanted it in perpetuity to be part of this deal.
Yes.
So I want to go back to what you pointed out. As he was applying for ownership in the National Football League, his track record in the restaurant business was getting worse and worse.
Yes.
It's a little shameful to me that he even got approved to become an NFL owner. When you look at the depth and breadth of the violations, because he had been sued, as you point out, multiple times by black people through the Denny's chain, accused of segregating black patrons and requiring them to prepay for meals and make various other payments not required of white patrons. And the tipping point there was when 6 black Secret Service agents assigned to protect, at that point, President Clinton, tried to be seated at Denny's and were denied a seat, and they were with 3 or 4 other white Secret Service representatives who were immediately seated. That was a tipping point because that became a firestorm that got all the way to the Oval Office, okay? So, as you point out, $54 million had been paid out to that point as he's applying for ownership. $54 million in lawsuits? What? And Fortune magazine called the company, quote, a shameful example of entrenched prejudice. Okay, so if you approve him as an owner, what do you think you're going to get?
Yeah.
More of the same?
He ain't going to change.
No?
And plus the fact, Skip, why would I change if I'm getting rewarded? I own these 2 Hardee's and Denny's. I got this, and I'm benefiting. And now I get an opportunity to get into one of the most exclusive clubs in all the world.
All the world.
So why the hell would I change my behavior? I'm getting rewarded. I'm leveling up.
Ooh, wow. So Jerry Richardson was from small town South Carolina, went to what's called Wofford College.
He gives a lot of money back to Wofford. As a matter of fact, summer training is at Wofford.
Okay. And he played some pro football.
Yeah.
Played for a couple of years for the then Baltimore Colts, played in the
58 championship
game and caught a touchdown pass from the great Johnny Unitas.
He did.
And of the owners, he was the first owner since George Halas who actually played pro football. Jerry Jones obviously played at Arkansas College football. Right. So he had a lot going for him that way. And he's a charismatic man. He's got stature about him and sort of presence about him. And he was looked at as a founding father of pro football in the Carolina region and became, dare I say, beloved because of that. Until it finally took a 2017 expose by Sports Illustrated to bring him down, built mostly on the sexual harassment claims.
Correct.
And he had paid off, settled a lot of those lawsuits internally. Right? So when you tell me that man still has, it's being protected right now, but still has a statue outside that stadium, that's just not right.
Well, take it to him, say, since you love it so much, here it is. Put it at your property or your house.
Your house, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you want it, I mean, you like it that much.
Okay. So to me, in the end, there shouldn't be much pride that he was the owner of this team, right?
No.
Okay.
And I think, isn't that what they said, Skip? You know, turning the chapter, turning the page, moving on. Because as long as that statue is up there, Skip, you walk by it. I mean, it's at the entrance. If I'm not mistaken, Skip, I think it's at the entrance. So you got to walk by it. You know what? No.
Flanked by 2 giant, literal panthers, right?
And so I think the thing is that, yes, you want to remove as much of the history of the Carolina Panthers. Now, everybody's going to remember he was the owner. He's the founder of the Carolina Panthers. We get all of that. But it's Skip, if you can try and move as far away from him as you possibly can, I think the better for the organization it's going to be. especially in today's climate, because his history, ain't no arguing, ain't no denying it, what his history is with race in this country and how he perpetuated it through his businesses. That's fact.
And it got to the point where he even told a lot of black players, no dreadlocks. Don't like the look. It's bad for our image, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you would think, Skip, I mean, as a matter of fact, he had a heart transplant a couple of years ago, Skip, and that still ain't changing. You think you get a cigarette, you know, you get transplants, like, man, hey, okay, you know, I need to do right by people and make sure, you know, hey.
So may I point out one more time, new day, new dawn.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, open season on racism and any racist symbols. That statue to me represents racism.
It's him.
Yes.
And he's a representation of the system that we're trying to change. He is a representation of that. But guess what, Skip? And the thing is, what kills me is that, oh, he's conservative. Oh, he goes to church. He loves the Bible. And that was the behavior he would display. So what they say about the Bible about that, Skip? I think they say something about, you know, how to treat people and love your neighbor like you love yourself.
Yep. So to quote the great Spike Lee, great movie that he once did, it's time to do the right thing.
Yep.
And the right thing would be to remove that statue from public view, to me.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. But Skip, I believe he knew that if he didn't include that into the contract, as soon as that man got off, he was going to be taken down. That's why he put it in the contract. That's why he did it, because he knew.
Well, I think there's now